Hi, I'm Dr. Karen Perkins, and we are live at the Speaking Empire Speaking and Marketing Academy. And I have the awesome opportunity of sitting here with Lawrence Clark. And Lawrence, I know that you are one of those influential people. And I have to ask you, tell me about your name badge there.
Yes. Well, you'll notice here that it says that I am a VIP, which means a very influential person or a very important person. But the main thing is, right now, I'm actually wearing a sign that says that's what I am. And that is a little trick that public speakers and salespeople can use. Anybody who wants to be influential, anything that you can use to highlight the fact that you are special, that you are unique. It's not like you're bragging, I'm a very important person, right? I happen to be at a conference right now, and this is the name badge they gave me. But it's a way to just kind of subtly remind people that you are influential, important, someone unique.
Okay, so if I'm going to the grocery store and I don't want to put on my tiara, I wouldn't do that.
Yes.
But if I'm going to the grocery store, what would be a very subtle way that I could let people know that I am an influential person?
Well, there's a couple of different things. That's a really good question. And I'll tell you a funny story about when I was younger and I was a graduate student in college and working on my PhD in rhetoric, which is the art of influence and persuasion, right? And there was a grocery store that I used to go to a lot. Well, I remember one day I would usually go to the grocery store dressed in my work clothes because I worked in public relations at the time and I always wore a suit and a tie. And I would go to the grocery store and I would get treated very well by the cashiers. And this is back in the days when we wrote checks. Remember those little things, paper, you signed your name on it and everything.
Yeah.
Well, they knew me there, and it was they got to a point where they didn't even ask me for my driver's license or anything, and it was always, "Oh, hi, Mr. Clark, how are you today?" Well, one day I went in, and it was a Saturday or a Sunday, and I was kind of dressed down in shorts and a t-shirt. I hadn't shaved for a couple of days, and I walked in, and the same cashier who knew me and treated me with a lot of respect looked at me and said, "I need to see your ID, sir." And I was thinking, oh, okay, well, I guess I've got a baseball hat on. I haven't shaved in a few days. Maybe she doesn't recognize me, but also it was the clothing that I was wearing. So the couple of days later, I decided to go back and I made sure that I went in the same line with the same cashier with my suit and tie on. And sure enough, "Oh, hi, Mr. Clark. How are you? Very nice to see you today." And she didn't ask me for my ID to cash a check.
That is a great story. So you would say one strategy is dress for success, and you're treated with success.
Absolutely, and not just dressing for success, but I'm sure I was also kind of, when you dress down, you're relaxed, and I'm kind of probably slunking up to the cash register and a little more relaxed. Whereas if you're dressed nicely and you're looking good that day, that kind of comes off, and people see that, not like you're putting on airs, but they see that self-respect, and then they in turn respect you.
That is great advice.
Yes.
Awesome advice. Well, we're day 1.5 of the Academy here.
Absolutely.
And there's been a lot of great information that's gone out. If you were to take all of that fabulous information and narrow it down to the biggest aha, so the one biggest aha you've gotten so far, what would that be?
Okay, that's a really good question as well. And I'm going to defer to my friend Aristotle when I answer this question. Aristotle, as most of you would know, is a very famous philosopher, and he was a doctor and scientist, but he was also something called a rhetorician. And a rhetorician is someone who studies the art and science of persuasion. Now, Aristotle, I won't go through all three of his main ways of persuading people right now, but one of the ways that he really saw that people would persuade each other is by using emotion. So one of the things that Dave Van Hoos, who is doing this seminar that we're at right now, is really good at is eliciting emotions from the audience. So when he was up there speaking this morning, he talked about this big long story about his childhood and how he kind of came from a broken home and had some issues with his education due to some medical issues and things. And we were there hanging on every word and kind of feeling for him when he got held back in the second grade and oh, wasn't that sad? And when his high school counselor literally laughed at him when he said he wanted to go to college. And a lot of us could identify with that, because I wasn't a very good student either in high school anyway. And so using emotion to capture your audience, to help them to feel what you're saying, not just to understand what you're saying with their heads, but to feel it with their hearts.
Yeah.
Then you actually capture their hearts and will be able to influence and persuade them to whatever it is you're trying to influence and persuade them about during your speech. Yes.
You know, that's a huge, awesome aha, and I love that.
Yes.
Now, I know, Lawrence, that there are people out there that want to become better at influencing, at persuading, and on getting the credibility that they really need. And they need to contact you so that they can do that. So how can they contact you to get that one-on-one with you?
Absolutely. There's several ways to contact me. One is through my website, which is lawrencejclark.com. That's Lawrence with a W and the middle initial J, lawrencejclark.com. They can also email me at lawrence@lawrencejclark.com. And they can also call me. And I actually publish my personal cell phone on my website, so I'm going to just go ahead and give it to you. That's here. Great. They can text me, they can call me, because I want to help you. I want to help you to be more influential, be more persuasive, and learn how to do that without being sleazy and cheesy. Okay, that's kind of my motto. And that phone number is 713-376-2494. That's 713-376-2494, or go to my website, lawrencejclark.com, or email me, lawrence@lawrencejclark.com.
Good advice. Contact him. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Great. Thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome.
All right.